the hell? Why you hanging on the roof all by yourself? I have an open invitation, but you're telling me go get lost. I don't wanna see your face. Yeah, what the hell? So why don't we stay out to the morning light? 'Cause two wrongs can make a right. We're just doing what we feeling right now. So Chardonnay, we camp in the parking lot. Leave traces of plastic cups. We're just doing what we feeling right now. So what the hell? Why you hanging on the roof all by yourself? Always waiting for the one, but I got news for you. I'm the best that you can get, so what the hell?
Hey guys, this past weekend I attended an event at my local LARP. It's my first event for the year, and certainly it is not going to be my last. I want to make this video to show people who haven't been to LARP, or people who are a little bit newer to LARP, what LARP life is like, and what I do at LARPs. This will probably be one of the few times I'll be recording a LARP event. I don't like recording for a LARP because it gets me out of character, and I have to worry a lot about the camera, and I mean it doesn't look good in pictures too when I'm holding a camera. So, however, for my local LARP, I don't really have to worry about my camera as much, as they're very lenient when it comes to technology, such as phones or whatever, and they understand. I mean, they're taking videos too, so they're not really oh, you need to put that away. No, it's not as strict as other LARPs when it comes to those type of things, and so I am allowed to record there, and I mean they're okay with it. The game I attend is called LARP Adventures. It's my local LARP. They are based in the DMV area, or Delaware, Maryland, Virginia area. It's mostly a medieval fantasy LARP that has events every month. This month's event was a weekend event. However, because of the weather, there was a lot of snow. It was more like a full day event than anything else. So I started off my day Saturday packing my stuff in the car, getting breakfast from McDonald's, and drove about an hour to the event site. Took about an hour to get to the event site. I spent another hour driving around because the directions on my phone took me out in the middle of nowhere, and I didn't have any internet signal, so I couldn't call anyone, and my directions were just lagging out. So I was just lost. I couldn't figure out where I was. So I had to drive 15 minutes back down the road I came from. And eventually got internet, and I got on my phone, and then I went my way to the event, and I was 2 hours later. So after I got my directions and my phone working again, I finally made my way to the property after 2 hours, what should have been an hour drive. I got to the property, and the ground is just covered in snow. I mean, everything was just frozen. It was cold. I slipped 5 times trying to get out of my car. At one point, I lost my car keys, but I mean, it was freaking cold too. And I brought my tent with me. I have a little A-frame tent that I bring with me to my LARPs, and it was just way too frozen to the point where it was I couldn't I was I can't put my stuff in here. There's nowhere where I could just lay my stuff, and it was way too cold. I'm I don't want to sleep outside. I walked into the building, and everyone was "Oh, Vidar, you're late." And I was yeah, no, it's just whatever. I was stuck in the middle of nowhere. But, I had finally made it, and I was so happy because I was getting really angry with my internet connection. So, usually when LARP games start, they have a workshop going on. This workshop is, to start off the game. Before they start any game, usually what a LARP does is they go over the rules. They go over a lot of rules in-game and out-of-game, player consent, all these different types of things to make sure that and you play safely. However, because this year they changed a lot of the rules in terms of combat and magic and how it's used and stuff like that. We also had a lot of new players, so the workshop lasted about 3 hours instead of 1 or 2. The game also has a character class system, or character pathways, they'd like to call it. These are classes that players can choose. It's very much like D&D, except of like, oh yeah, you know, like you're an elf or a dwarf or something like that. It's categorized into 4 classes, which is rogue, warrior, wizard, and healer. They also made a lot of changes to that, and we just spent a lot of time going over each pathway and the rules. New players and old had to go through it, and I was late to it, so I didn't listen to a lot of the stuff that they said. After rules, a lot of the players really wanted to fight, and were also really cold. So we spent a lot of time, you know, even though it snowed, a lot of us did fight. We cleared up a small space on the side near the building. I mean, it was pretty fun. It helped warm us up, and it helped train the new players that really wanted to fight. So, I mean, yeah, we had fun with that. I'll bet you 5 coin on the guy with the helmet.
They all have helmets.
In this type of LARP game, anyone can play and dress whatever they want. You know, we have knights, Vikings, pirates, elves. I play a Mongol Viking in the game. One of the reasons I like this game is the leniency on what people can wear and what you are allowed to wear. They're not really strict on garb as a lot of people are, where it's like, oh, we only need Vikings and this and that. You're not allowed to be Greek, or you're not allowed to be this. But this game, they allow, you know, almost any costume, as long as it's like within, like, it has to be like metal. It can't really be plastic unless it's a prosthetic. And it can't be like, you know, super, I guess it has to be like safe for people to wear and for other people to be around you when you're wearing it. And I mean, yeah, like that's what I like about that LARP, is just because I see so many different people wearing so many different things. I mean, you could even play like Warhammer, you know, Ranger, you know, whatever you want. So in LARP Adventures, my character name is Vidar, and I lead the faction that is known as the Vidarians. We are a new faction in the game. We were created about a few months ago. I want to say like September or August, around that time. In the lore map, we are set in the new expansion continent, which is also created a few months ago, around our time. I was joined with my friend Ulfric and Nar, who are official members of my faction, as well as various other people who I've known from other games and stuff like that. It was very great to see them. We're mostly a Mongol and Viking inspired faction, but I do allow people who are who are not Mongol and Viking. Like, if you don't want to play that, you don't have to play that to join my faction. I don't really care what you wear. You know, it's like, you know, for me, it's like I created the faction just to have fun for my, like, you know, have fun on the war map for myself. And, you know, if people want to join me with that, they're welcome to join me. If, you know, they don't want to join my faction, you know, it's like, I don't really care that much. A little bit about my character. He is like Mongolian and Scythian inspired, and hails from the new continent. I do roleplay that he has trouble reading the common tongue. They speak the common tongue, or English, and, you know, because my character hails from another continent, I just sometimes pretend that I don't always understand or can't read their language.
Why are you asking him? He can better speak the language.
He doesn't read that language. That says wild.
Wow, Austera. What's that?
That says many.
No, not. No, move your finger. This one.
Maybe it's a number.
Well, Austera.
42.
Okay.
Another thing about my character is that in other games I say that Vidar has like 5 wives, and like 3 of them are missing, and like it's just been an ongoing like joke between me and like some of the people that know and are my friends, and like I decided to put it in this game as well, just for gags and laughs and stuff like that. There is a war map game where factions and groups can control parts of like a map. This map is divided in hexes, and each faction can take a hex every event, and they gain resources from that hex to build, like, you know, cities or ports or like lumber mills and stuff like that. When a faction travels to a hex, they have to roll a d20 dice to see what they're facing off against. The higher the number of the dice, like the more dangerous the enemy you're facing off against. For example, if you roll 5 or a 6, then you have to face off against orcs. If you roll a 14, you have to fight against giants. And if you roll a 19, you're screwed. So usually after the dice is rolled, we gather players and fight against NPCs. We do this in real life, so usually like we'll have like a list of like factions. Okay, this faction went. Okay, this faction went. Okay, this faction went. And then they go off, and then we fight in the field against like NPCs and stuff like that. And we try to roleplay the counter as best as we can. However, because of the snow, they had us kind of like sit at a table and do it D&D style instead of like physically fighting this time, just because it was like really slippery, very dangerous, and I mean, we didn't have enough space to fight off against each other. So by this time, I was gathering all the players I could gather, because I didn't know what we were going up against, and I wanted to be sure that we won the encounter. I went up to every single player that I knew to help us fight in this imaginary enemy. I got like maybe 15 people ready to fight, which is a pretty big number for this event, so I was very happy with that. So after a little bit, the organizers called me up. They came up to me and they were like, "Hey Vidar, it's your turn to roll the dice on the war map." I was like, "Okay, fine." So I go up to the war map, they gave me the dice and they're like, "Roll it." And so I rolled the d20 and I got a 20. My heart just dropped. I was like, that's a really high number. Inside I'm freaking out, and I was like, what are we facing off against? Because that's a really high number. So like we're looking at the rule book, we're looking down, and then like we saw it was like number 20, no encounter. So basically we don't have to fight anything. And I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, yeah, we don't have to fight anything. Then I thought about it, I'm like, wait, I just spent like 2 hours trying to find people, and now we're not fighting anything. I was like, that was kind of a waste of 2 hours of my time and stuff like that. So I went out to every single player and I was like, hey guys, sorry, but we're not fighting anything. And it was very anticlimactic, and I mean, it was a little bit of a letdown, but I mean, you know, we got the hex and we got it for free. So evening came and dinner commenced. We had a really good dinner at the venue. Had a bard come by and sing to us some awesome tunes. And then came the politics of the realm of Austera. After dinner, we had a council meeting where all the factions get to role play their little scenes and stuff that they want to role play at, because everyone's there, everyone's eating dinner, and they're watching this. And they get to roleplay all the things that are going on. We get to see all the possible quests and quest lines that may or may not happen in the future. My faction had to sign a treaty with the White Ravens over a border dispute. It was really fun roleplaying that. Other news was that demons have attacked the lands of Austera, and it has been contained by the various factions. However, the demon general Ferdinand was seen sailing west towards my continent. Since I'm technically the only faction there, people were like, okay, yeah, no, like, we should have a united force of Austera and face off against this threat. And they're like, we should have Vidar be the general and lead this army. I was like, why are you making me lead the army when I can't even keep track of my 5 wives?
I had a proposal. Is anyone against the proposal that's been made to send an expedition led by the Vidarians, as it is their land, in efforts with the White Ravens as their...
So, overall, I like LARP Adventures. Not because it's my local LARP and it's like an hour away from me, but because it's a very fun LARP. The game is very much, player run. Which means that like the players have a lot of say, or whatever they do translates a lot into the in-game lore and stuff. And it's very exciting seeing that, because you don't know what's going on, which I personally like. And that doesn't mean that the organizers don't do anything. The organizers do put quests, but it's more of like, oh yeah, like this is the main quest, and you guys can also do whatever you want when you're not doing that quest. So it really does give the players a lot of abilities and allow them to run things the way that they want to run things, or perhaps roleplay stuff that organizers might not think or whatever. The players seem very invested into this game, creating, helping out with rules, helping out the organizers with, organizing events and stuff like that. Because it's player run, the, content is always changing. I also like that the game is very lenient on people's kits. People who are new to the event, people who have never LARPed before, and don't want to spend too much money. Like, this game is perfect for people who are just starting to get into LARP and are just trying to get out of their comfort zone of role playing, trying to get out that real world and start coming into the LARP world. So this game, if you are like new and you want to try out LARP but you're not really 100% sure on it yet, this game is perfect for you to join. I just want to thank the organizers and players for making this event fun, and I just had a blast. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next adventure.